Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 561, we're going to talk about Titania, the Protector of Argoth. For 5 mana, we get a 5/3. Cool. When Titania enters the battlefield, return target land from your graveyard to the battlefield. Pretty sweet. But when a land you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you get a 5/3 elemental. That's pretty sweet. Now, this is one of those decks that you can spend as much money as you want to on with Crucible of Worlds and Azusas and explorations and all kinds of. None of those cards are here. They're amazing. If you got them, play them. I'm just out of them, so I make do with what I've got, and I think this is pretty fun. Anyway, the two categories I want to start with are getting lands into play and then getting lands into the graveyard. So we're going to blow through the lands into play thing. Of course, well, first off, we're playing mono green, so I am playing the Elvish Mystic and the Llanowar Elf. For some turn one possibility of something, right? I've got a Wood Elf to goes and gets a forest. Now, I want to take a quick break here. I'm not exactly certain when you're watching this, but as of the time of recording this, Ikoria has come out digitally, but not in paper yet. So keep in mind, Wood Elves, things like Wood Elves and Nature's Lore say forest. They don't say basic land, Ranger's Path. So for those 3-color decks that are running the triomes that have all 3 basic land types, this is a thing. Remember those 3 cards and any of them like it, because they will go and get your triome as long as one of those types is a forest. Got Hunting Wilds. Hunting Wilds is in there also because this can actually double. You can get 2 forests, but if you need your forest to become creatures so they can die and you can get, upgrade them to 5/3s, whatever, you can turn them into 3/3s with haste. So that's also kind of in this deck, as much ramp as we've got. It may be kind of a win condition type thing. We have This is Pilgrimage. Hour of Promise. Now, Hour of Promise, I love it. Just gets 2 lands, doesn't matter what kind they are. Bakota Gardener. A little twist on the Walking Atlas kind of thing, Explore, Rampant Growth, Colony Heart Expedition, Arboreal Grazer, Dryad of the Elysian Grove. That just lets us play an additional land, and I know it's kind of... This is a 1-color deck, but this was the only instance I had at my fingertips of playing additional land. I have Gaia's Touch, which is playing additional forest, basic forest. Fertilid, Beanstalk Giant, Ruin in their wake. I am running a few. I think I'm running 5 waste cards, just because. Obviously, this deck is very land heavy. Clear the land. Now, clear the land, because we are land heavy. Yes, this hits each player, and odds are 4-player games or more. There's going to be times where I come out on the losing end of this particular stick, but with us having a higher concentration, a higher percentage of our deck is lands than probably most players, so we're probably gonna, and we can abuse the lands. Yeah, everybody can use them, and I'm running Into the North, because Into the North goes and gets, snow-covered forest. Now, not just for the snow-covered forest, because Into the North, yeah, there's but check this out. It's Whiteout. Whiteout's from Ice Age. All creatures with flying lose flying till end of turn. Now that's one thing we are exceedingly weak on here is we don't have like flyers, and we may not draw our kill flyer stuff. But if whiteout's in your graveyard, you can sack a snow-covered land to return whiteout to your hand. So this is doing the things we want to do anyway, which is sacking land, right? Which that moves us right into our let's get land into the graveyard from play. Now, of course, the one popular way, Zero and Orb, that's just, because I have, back in the day, we would Zero and Orb balance and people would just lose their mind, as well they should. But nowadays, we do stuff like Zero and Orb, Splendid Reclamation. Sylvan Safekeeper, I have, by the way, this deck, when I listed it, after I list each deck, I add it to the collection on Architect, and this deck had 18 cards that I haven't played with before, and I think Sylvan Safekeeper is one of them. It does what we want. We sacrifice a land, and it protects a creature, so that's not bad. Crop Rotation, of course, you saw that one coming. We had to have that one. Uktabi Wildcats. Now, this is one that don't see a lot of love. Each equal number of forests you control. Now, we do have a lot of non-basics in our 5 ways, so it's not going to be infinite, whatever. But the ability to sacrifice a forest to regenerate. So, how that reads to me is green, sack a forest, regenerate, get a 5/3. That's pretty good. Spring Bloom Druid. Sack a land to get a land, or to get 2 lands, which is, it's a Harrow on a body. Sustenance from Mercadian Mask. Sack a land, target creature gets +1/+1 till end of turn. It's not bad. Constant Mist was it had to be in there, right? It had to be. It's getting a little fuzzy, getting a little close. What about Turn Timber Sower? Man, that's hard for me to say, and I have no clue why. You get plants, into your graveyard from anywhere. So this is even if it's from your library, from your hand, whatever, discarding. So, Renewal. Yeah, that's right. Homelands represent. Yeah, that's where it needs to be. So, sack a land to search for a land, for a basic land, and you draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. Now, we do have some weird things. Let's look at some removal before we get into the other stuff. The removal's pretty standard. Naturalize, return to nature, Deglamor. Oh man, I love Deglamor. Indestructible. I don't care. Chain of Acid, Acidic Slime, Rex Sage. Even Desert Twister and Lignify. I love the on-board but useless things. But now let's look at... Okay, so obviously we are working on getting lands into play and then lands into the yard. So let's do something weird here and look at our non-basic lands. Most of these are in there because they sacrifice themselves. Because, yes, we have a lot of sacrifice effects, but we may not draw them. So, Haunted Fangraph, sacrifice it itself to get a creature back. Of course, Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse. Quicksand, Havenwood Battleground. You can sack it for double green. The Blighted Woodland sacks itself to get you more lands. Mirror Pool sacks itself. Crystal Vein. Timberland Ruins. Hickory Woodlot. Wintermoon Mesa. Centaur Garden. Now, the last one, the Treetop Village, doesn't really sack itself, but, it's a good blocker. Okay, so typically in this style deck, we would be doing things like a whole bunch of landfall shenanigans. Not present. Not present at all, because that is the expected thing, and I kind of didn't want to do that. So we are looking at. Let's just go through some random cards here. Centaur Vine Crasher. Number of land cards in all graveyards. Okay. Uh, Now, Seer Sundial doesn't seem like a whole bunch, but because it's so mana intensive to draw a card, right? I mean, that's just the thing. But we've got so much land entering play that, yeah, I mean, you probably ain't paying for every one of them, but you know what? We're probably paying for a lot of them. Probably can afford to pay for a lot of them. Our other card draw is, the Elemental Bond, um, Return of the Wild Speaker, Into the Wilds, uh, World Shaper. This really works for that, anywhere thing too. But you get all your lands back when it dies, so I kind of like that. Crash of the Rhino Beetles is just funny. Uh, when the herd moves, so should you. Words to live by. Colonian Twin Grove, which was one that counts forest, and I was like, that makes just a big O token. But Woodbriar Elemental, or I'm sorry, Wolfbriar Elemental makes a whole bunch of tutus, And so that's what got me. I was like, well, now we've got wolf tokens, we have elemental tokens, and we've got those O1 plant tokens. So you know what? Second Harvest is kind of a thing. Yes, Doubling Season fits in here, and so do, a lot of other cards. And I was like, so we're winning via the combat step. Hence our overrun. Now, Nylea's Intervention, obviously just going to go find us some lands. Natural Affinity. Now here's Natural Affinity is the greatest, I think one of the greatest modal cards ever made. Yeah, it's modal. In this deck, it's modal. If you can get there with as much lands as we are putting into play, and you've got that overrun, or you've got the pump up ability, or you just got more lands than they got life, you can get there. Natural Affinity, swing. Or, conversely, the reason why it's in here is in response to a wrath effect, a board wipe. You can warn them you don't want to wrath. I wouldn't do that, because if they do wrath, this is an instant, and that is all lands, not just yours. That's everybody's lands become 2/2 creatures. So if we've got our commander out there, she sees them all dying, right? So we get these 5/3, and everybody else loses their entire mana base. So that's why I kind of like Natural Affinity in this particular deck. Primal Bellow, just going to get there with one single creature. Veil of Summer. And our last card. Now, I know Primal Order. I know we have a lot of non-basics in a mono green deck. However, most of those non-basics are in there because we want to sack them. So I felt like we're probably not going to have a whole lot of them on the board for a prolonged period of time. And Primal Order just wins games. And keep in mind, we are headed into the world of 3-color monsters, So I feel like the number of 3-color decks is about to jump through the roof. So that's why I chose Primal Order. Well, that is the deck. Like I said, there's plenty of room in the deck for upgrades and whatnot. I've actually, see how old that sleeve is? I haven't used that sleeve in, let's see, I'm on the pink now. Before the pink, I did purple. And then I think this was before the purple. So That's how long I've actually been working on this particular deck. Weirdly enough, the last card I needed was Zern Orb. Because I just didn't want to do it without a Zern Orb. It's not terribly expensive, you know. But that is deck number 561. So let's go over, put it on the wall. Excuse the mess on the table. Like I said, I'm in hardcore deck building mode for Ikoria. So, trip over my chair. Can we get a better focus now that we're not looking at cards? Maybe. But I hope everybody is staying safe. Let's see if we can't point it this way, away from those lights. That may be the answer right there. So I do appreciate it, everybody. Stay safe. And this is a big recording day. I've recorded a whole bunch of stuff. Y'all are going to see it, you know, staggered out, but this is a big recording day for me. I do want to give a big shout out to the patrons. Thank y'all so much. Couldn't do it without you, and everybody for watching, clicking, sharing, liking. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much. Trying to produce some content to give us something to do. But right now, I think that's it for this one. So we're going to shuffle and cut.